He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is the Alex Marlow Show.
All right, we got a scintillating show rundown today. Long list of news. I guess we'll start with drone update. DHS, FBI, FAA, DOD. So all three-letter agencies, we like those. We have the best three-letter agencies, right? Maybe not. They all agree on the New Jersey drones. No national security threat. Rest easy, everyone. We know. We're all good. Department of Homeland Security, Federal Aviation Administration, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Defense all got together, released a joint statement. This was late on Monday, saying the drones currently seen over New Jersey and elsewhere, not a security threat. They're lawfully registered with the FAA in the United States. And there's there's over 1 million lawfully registered, including commercial, hobbyist, law enforcement drones in American airspace. So they're not going to offer us up anything. I'm tempted to read their whole statement because the longer you read it, it's pretty long. We have it front page of Breitbart. The more you realize they're just not telling us something. And why won't they? And this feeds my theory that I've been pointing out that Joe Biden is sowing chaos in this country. That's how he's trying to go out. He's trying to go out with the world in a more chaotic spot. That's why he's leaving the border open, encouraging border crossers to get here and to try to take jobs and try to get jobs. That's why he's given the okay to Ukraine to launch those long-range missiles into Russia. That's why he's taken credit for civil war in Syria, which, that one might work out. I don't know, but Biden's taking credit for it. And trying to spend as much money as humanly possible. So the record level of pardons, there's going to be more pardons to come and commutations. All this chaos is how the Democrats operate, and that they won't answer what these drones are all about, even though they know is a stunning thing in this country. We're losing faith in our institutions. A New Jersey mayor thinks the mystery drones are looking for radioactive material that went missing weeks ago, and that I don't know if that's a good explanation. I know that does echo that viral drone entrepreneur's explanation that we talked about on yesterday's broadcast. So there we go. Chaotic environment that we're in. More chaos in Madison, Wisconsin, where police chief said that the shooter from yesterday, the Christian school shooter, we do not know she or he or they may have wanted to identify. It is not important. Madison police chief says the shooter, she or he or they may have wanted to identify. So we don't know what their pronouns are. So if you don't know if someone is trans or not, doesn't that make them trans? So we don't know. We don't know. But I'm just saying that I know I'm not trans. I'm sure all of you know that you're not trans. So once you're not sure, I think you're kind of leaning into the trans category. So with the suspect is a girl. Talk to Neil Monroe, who is our resident beat reporter on the trans issue of Breitbart News, and his theory. This is not fact-based necessarily, but his theory is this is just a girl who's going through teenage girl stuff and is confused. But we may find out this person identifies as a trans. And I noted on yesterday's broadcast how Madison, Wisconsin is a hotbed for anti-Christian violence, which I've reported on extensively personally. And it's not surprised that people are radical in this area, but it is remarkable that we don't know if they are the shooter. I'm so sick of this. We have to stop tolerating these pronoun things. The fact that they mean something in the English language, it means plural. It's a plural. You can't have a singular they. We should never have accepted this. It's a big mistake. We made this big mistake with this cultural contagion with the trans stuff. It adds to the chaos and the confusion. And that's most powerful, particularly, I think, younger teenage girls. I think are the ones who are most susceptible to get suckered into this stuff. So very troubling, and that the adults in the room will not give us answers makes it even worse. All right, Canada, Justin Trudeau stumbling. His government appears to be on the verge of collapse. We're keeping a very close eye on this at Breitbart News. We love the great states of Canada. We'll probably be 2 states once Trump gets done with it. But this is a very interesting thing, because once Trudeau goes down, we're going to get a really great conservative, this guy, Pierre Poilievre, who goes viral online for some great speeches, talking to journalists while he eats apples. That was a popular one that was out a while back. That's going to ring a bell for some of you. Maybe a little establishment. I don't know. But it definitely seems like he understands a much better direction for Canada. And I've got a little bit of a connection with Canada. When I was on SiriusXM, they have a huge Canadian listenership and subscriber base. So I spent a lot of time talking to Canadians. I've had a lot of great Canadian reporters, including Emma Jo Morris at Breitbart, who we spoke to on this show. So I'm keenly looking forward to seeing how this shakes out, and hopefully things accelerate. But I'm going to play you a clip of Poilievre from this week giving a speech about Canada that I just thought was so sensational. Just give you a taste of what we could be in for if Trudeau goes down and goes down soon.
That's right.
I met a waitress at a restaurant not long ago, and she came up to me and she grabbed me by the hand and she said, "You have to win." And I said, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate your support." She said, No, it wasn't a compliment. You have to win. And then she told me her story.
So first of all, I just love that so much. I've thought that so many times in my life where I feel like I want to succeed out of personal pride, and I want Breitbart to do well, and I want to achieve things in my life. But it's really more, if you win, then you make progress for the people you care about, the people who share your values, your family. And I think that this drives a lot of successful people to make bold decisions. And so I just love that framing, that he has to win, not because she's a fan of his and she's rooting for him like a sporting team. He has to win because they got to get rid of Trudeau. Trudeau is ruining that country. And the country's got a ton of potential, and it's untapped, and it will be fairly easy to access so long as Trudeau goes out and someone worthwhile takes his place. And we got the guy. He's right here. Let's hear the rest of the story.
She told me that she was working one full-time job and two part-time jobs just to pay her bills as a single woman in her late 50s. And she was tired of working all the time. So she cut everything out of her budget, every creature comfort, everything she enjoyed about her life. She cut it out so that she could drop one of those part-time jobs. And then one morning, she woke up and she walked outside and her car was gone. And she called her insurance and they said they weren't going to cover the replacement value. So she had to take that job back because she simply cannot live her life without a car. Now, you can bet your bottom dollar the guy who stole the car, he was probably out on bail. This was not his first job.
That's right.
You can see, those of you who are watching the videos, everyone behind him in the parliament are nodding their head. What do they call it? The House of Commons? What do they call it there? I got to know this stuff better. I'm a forest guy. Sometimes I miss some of the tree stuff. Those of you who've been with me for a while know that. I'll get a trees issue incorrect. But what a great aside that this guy probably is out on bail right away, because that's our culture now. That's how the left operates. I'm sure Canada is exactly the same. That you let the non-violent criminals, and that includes Grand Theft Auto, you let them out as fast as possible. That's how you keep whatever your crime numbers down.
Right.
Her taxes have gone up. Her heating bill has gone up.
Yeah.
Her wages have not gone up. She's scared to go out in the streets in places where they didn't even lock the door not long ago. These are the people we're fighting for. These silly games over here, they're very entertaining. The soap opera that everyone's seized with today, that's all fine. But there are real people whose lives are on the line here, and we have a duty to work for them. And quite frankly,
see, that's just rhetorically, those of you who ever studied rhetoric or are keen on following people who are public speakers, just exemplary speech, just the rhetorical devices used in there, the cadence, the structure, the arc. I mean, that is just straight out of speech and debate class. And we are kind of lacking that in America right now. Even our favorite politicians on the right, I don't know if anyone tells a great story like that. And I feel like there's some potential for some of our younger people. But I just love that. I love the values of it. I love the sentiment. I love the presentation. Absolutely terrific. Talking about bringing Canada's promise back. And the best way to do it is become a state, subsidiary of the United States of America, maybe two states. Donald Trump annexes. We have to liberate Canada, guys. This is one of these bits that's going to become real. It's going to become a real thing. I'm really going to get behind it eventually. All right, good stuff over there. We're keeping an eye on Canada closely at Breitbart News. Currently, as I'm recording this, we got some fresh content for you up on that, if you're curious. All right, so Ukraine takes credit for Moscow scooter bombing targeting a top Russian general. Francis Martel writes this up for us at Breitbart News. Ukrainian state outlet Ukrinform, citing government sources, reported on Tuesday that the State Security Service of Ukraine assassinated Russian Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov in Moscow. Kirillov and an aide, identified in Russian media as Ilya Polikarpov, died on Tuesday morning in an explosion, reportedly while waiting to commute to work. A bomb went off near them, TNT. She provides some details on the weaponry used. Ukrainian state media indicated the apartment building near where the explosion occurred was not connected to a gas line. The explosion was exclusively the product of the detonation of a weapon hidden in an electric scooter. Scary. Kirillov was the head of the Russian Armed Forces unit in charge of nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. So very big target for Ukraine. Big success there in a way. But of course, there'll be some sort of a retribution. I don't know what that looks like. This is going to continue, the back and forth. That's why January 20th can't get here fast enough. Again, I'm not rooting for the Russians, okay? So those of you who are Russia files in the audience, there's probably a few of you. I'm not rooting for you necessarily. I'm rooting for a peace. A peace is what I want. And I don't know if this gets us closer to peace, but I understand it. If I was Ukrainian, I'd be applauding it. But anything that prolongs the war, I don't like. We need to get closer to peace. That's what we need to do. And I want to see that. Donald Trump will negotiate something, I predict, very quickly. I'm just wondering if any of these make things more complicated or less complicated. All right, CNN confirms it was duped by the Syrian intelligence officer in fake prisoner freedom video. This was something I won't dwell on too much because we spent a lot of time on it yesterday. I played this video of CNN dramatically liberating a Syrian prisoner who turned out to be one of Assad's torturers. And this very strange woman, Clarissa Ward, seems like a sociopath, out there acting like she's doing extraordinary journalism. CNN, everyone gushing, Jake Tapper, chief among them, about what incredible journalism this is. Everyone's embarrassed today. It was fake. It was fake news. It was literal fake news, which made it all the more delightful that when watching CNN yesterday, we happened to catch Jim Acosta. Yes, that Jim Acosta, the man known for trying to embarrass Trump and his staff in the White House briefing room until he got so obnoxious that he got demoted to weekend host on CNN. They don't let him in the White House, at least not very often. So they were talking, he and Brian Stelter, another guy who had gotten fired from CNN for bad reporting and low ratings, embarrassing himself over and over again. He was the host of Reliable Sources, their media show. And they were on CNN talking about how bad it is for journalism that ABC News had to settle with Donald Trump. We got some of this. Let's play this.
These cases oftentimes do not work out for Trump, but this ABC case is a major victory. I talked to renowned First Amendment lawyer Floyd Abrams last night. He said, look, there's no way to say other than this is a big win for Trump.
And I have to ask you whether or not you think there's just going to be a chilling effect on the news industry just as he is coming into office because of this. I mean, I suppose it's almost a rhetorical question because the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Media lawyers are worried about this. They're preparing for it. They are preparing their newsrooms.
Yeah, you're going to get sued if you report false stuff. Why is it so challenging for these guys? Are these guys stupid? The case that ABC News settled that we discussed on yesterday's broadcast was George Stephanopoulos accused Trump of rape. He said he's liable for rape. That's not true. The Eugene Carroll case, which was totally bogus anyway, the judgment was it wasn't any legal judgment that was rendered. So Trump filed this defamation lawsuit and they had to settle it because Trump had the goods. And they weren't going to open themselves up to discovery and find out that ABC News was colluding and trying to find whatever angle they could to try to smear Trump. So George Stephanopoulos didn't understand the case and he went to air with a accusation that's false and was defamatory, and a jury agreed on it, and they rendered a decision, or they made it possible that a settlement could take place where Trump gets paid out. So there's no chilling effect on real reporting. You stop lying about Trump, guys. It's not that hard. Why do you have two bozo people talking on CNN? CNN is trying to redeem itself, right? Two people who know nothing about journalistic integrity. It's a very odd choice. Acosta talking journalistic integrity with Stelter. Absurd. I should be happier about this. This is funny.
Our newsrooms for it, with the expectation of more lawsuits, more leak investigations, more subpoenas in the months and years to come.
But it seems to me that there's a lot of this bending the knee going on, and I'm sure the folks over at ABC will say that that's just not the case. But I just feel, and I wonder how you feel about that aspect of all of this. I mean, to me, it seems this is a time for our industry to stand firm, and we're going to have a very important job to do.
Well, if some bend the knee, others have to stand up straighter.
Yeah, this is the key part that I really want to point out here from Acosta.
I just feel, and I wonder how you feel about that aspect of all of this. I mean, to me, it seems this is a time for our industry to stand firm.
Stand firm? You falsely accused him of rape. You guys falsely accused him of rape. He wasn't a rapist. The jury did not rule he was a rapist. The jury actually ruled the opposite, that he was not liable for rape. Oh, man. Stand firm. If you falsely accuse someone of rape, we got to stand firm. He's just afraid he doesn't want to get sued, and he wants the company to bail him out if he does get sued. So recall that ABC News was also the place that was fact-checking Trump in the middle of the debates, which ended up backfiring, I think. But in his debate with Kamala Harris, which didn't go great for Trump, but them picking on Trump with fact-checking him and not Harris, I think that aged very badly for the media. So the media's on the run. I love it. You love to see it. It's great to see it. Ratings are cratering. So Hollywood not doing well either. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But I do want to tell you guys about a very important sponsor that we've got. And you got to pay attention to this because the context is of a story. So Kamala Harris and Joe Biden trying to lock in these radical policies I was talking about. I opened the show with this. They're trying to do this before Trump takes office on the 20th. They're not just winding down. They're trying to cement control. Biden signed this executive order, 14067, and the banks are actively testing a government-controlled digital dollar. They're doing it right now. This isn't modernizing currency. It's about total control, and they want to track every dollar that you earn and spend, every single one. And here's the kicker. Once the system is fully implemented, it'll be nearly impossible for Trump to undo. The radical left and their global elite allies will have a permanent grip on your financial life long after they're out of power. Trump called this a dangerous threat to freedom. J.D. Vance warned it could mean total government control over your finances. Folks, this is real. It's happening right now, but you're not powerless. That's why my friends at Priority Gold have created a wealth preservation guide. They made it to help you fight back. It lays out 3 critical steps to shield your savings from overreach. All you got to do is text FREEDOM to 24999 right now to get your guide. Text FREEDOM to 24999 right now or visit prioritygold.com. Don't wait. Text FREEDOM to 24999 today and shield what's yours. So Hollywood LGBTQ elites are panicking over second Trump administration. Some are planning to flee. So I hope they do. I hope they do because I'm nervous about California right now because I don't want California to be a haven of all the worst liberals because we're making some progress out here, I think, but maybe not. This was the subject of my hit on Laura Ingraham last night, and I've never done this on the show, but we're gonna do this. I'm gonna play a little clip of me because look, Primetime Fox, I got a solo slot, guys. That's big. I'm moving up in the world. So I'd have to be on a panel with someone. They usually put you on pretty good panels on Ingram's show. I've been on some not good panels over the years, but that was the Ingram picks good guess. So does Kudlow. I got a solo hit. That's cool. I had a solo hit on Kudlow last week, so people are liking what I got to say, I guess. But the topic of conversation was, are the Democrats trying to push out Kamala Harris, push her back out of the national spotlight into California? Let's see how I did. Let's check this out.
Great to see you. You're a California resident, and everyone knows how much I love the Golden State. Lived there for a while, thought I would ultimately settle there. But is Kamala the answer for what ails them?
No, Laura, the big story here is what you said under your breath. They're trying to push her out of the national spotlight. There's been 3 major polls of the 2028 Democrat field since the November election, and she's polling in the high 30s or low 40s. There's not one other candidate out there who's polling even in double digits. This is a nightmare for Democrats because she could coast through the primary and then have to run a long general election campaign in 2028 where she could ultimately get creamed. We didn't like her in 2024. She has no vision, no authenticity, no policies, all the word salad. The Democrats who are smart in the National Committee, they can't want that for 2028. So they want to force her on me and the rest of California. And sadly, we probably accept her, which is just terrible. Not good. Not good. That's what's going on. So the CNN is trying to postulate that Harris would go out to California, run for governor. It's a crowded field, so maybe there's some people who would still try to challenge her and point out her weaknesses, but they would get really creamed by the National Committee. They would be really frowned upon. And it's one of these things where you have an environment in California where there's so many Democrats. It's a one-party state, but they understand that you don't fight with one another. You don't fight amongst yourselves unless you absolutely have to. And I don't know if they're going to. So they might clear out and let her be governor of California, which would be horrible for me, horrible for my children, because she'd be terrible. Now, I want to be clear here. I don't think Republicans are going to win in 2026 in California. I don't really think that's realistic. We had a golden opportunity with Larry Elder during the recall of Newsom. Newsom should have been recalled. Elder should have been put in. And it wasn't really that close, sadly. So it's a scenario where we could get really the worst of all worlds, especially for me. Because if Harris comes back here, she'll probably win. She'll be a terrible governor. And then she won't run in 2028 for the national election, and we want her to run. We want her to run because she could end up consolidating a coalition, winning in a cakewalk. A lot of people don't want to admit to themselves what a bad candidate she was, that we never liked her, that we didn't like the word salad, any policy positions other than abortion, and we hate democracy, and that Trump's a bad man. We never thought the joyless cackling or the fake joy cackling was authentic. Could you imagine how she would do in a 18-month campaign? Wouldn't that be crazy to watch? That she can't talk for 5 minutes. So if it's clear she's going to be the Democrat nominee, let's say summer 2027, and then she's got to run for the next year and a half before we go vote for president. That's a dream come true for us if we want to win. It might not be the best content because she doesn't create enough content. But as a content guy, I could do better. But as an American who wants to see Republicans win, that could be the move. It really could. So I'm very interested to see what she's going to do. But you see the machine starting to kick into gear. CNN's leading the charge. They're making a suggestion that Harris should go back to California, take a great job as governor. It is a great job. I'd love that job. One day, maybe. Be governor of California, biggest state, one of the best places in the world, despite how the left's trying to ruin it. So she could have that job, and then she wouldn't run in 2028. The reason I say that is because you get elected in 2026, then it's almost campaign season for 2028 anyway. So she basically wouldn't have been governor at all, and then she'd be running a national race. So it's just such a bad look. But those polls I mentioned, she's up by 30 to 35% in the Democrat primary over her next best opponent. That's a huge number. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think she's going to run for president. That's my prediction. So because it's just too much of a lead. If any of you in the audience, if I told you that on January 1, 2025, you're going to have a 5 times the support of any other person in the world to lead a major political party and be their nominee for president, you'd say, yeah, I'll give it a try. Oh, I'll be president. Why not? Most of you would do too far ahead. So that's my prediction, is that she'll stick with it. She'll end up running for president again. And God willing, she'll win the primary easily, and then she'll be a very soft target for us in the general. But smart Democrats know this, and I'm not worried about giving away the game here because I think they get this. I think they understand this. I think they understand her weaknesses as a candidate. They don't want to admit it, but after they have enough time to process, I think they will. But so anyway, that was topic conversation. Yeah, Hollywood LGBTQ elites leaving. I hope they leave. That'd be great. Why not? I just don't want too many people to flood California. So let me give you a couple updates on Trump's cabinet. 120 plus retired generals and admirals signing a letter to support Pete Hegseth. 1,100 veterans signed a letter supporting Tulsi Gabbard for DNI. I love this. The left does these tactics. So 250 veterans as of last week had signed on this letter for Tulsi. Now you got 1,100. I don't know how big that number is in the scheme of things. There's so many veterans. Do we have 1 million veterans? You got to have 1 million veterans. So it's not a big number, but in a way it is a big number. And I like the grassroots organization. I think it's spirited. I think it sends it's a good talking point for talk radio. It's a good talking point for TV for people to say, hey, look, all these people can't all be wrong, can they? And make the left answer to that. This is the exact move they made most famously with the 50 plus deep staters who said the Hunter Biden laptop seemed like Russian disinformation, carried all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. So they used that and they were able to get Joe Biden into the White House on that fake news claim. So I like it. It's a nice move. And I like when they use their tactics. When we use their tactics. So I think that's big. Yeah, I'm just going to show you how much we want Kamala Harris to be the nominee in 2028. Just give you a little taste of it. You're going to miss some of it if you miss the visuals, but the audio, I think, gets the job done. Check this out.
The true test of our commitment is whether, in the face of an obstacle, do we throw up our hands or do we roll up our sleeves?
Ooh.
And as we approach...
She's always talking about hard work. Like, she never does any hard work. She just laughs a lot and drinks Chardonnay, right? Oh, is that a Q-zip? She's got a Q-zip on. Unbelievable. I told you she's going backwards with the fashion.
And I ask you to remember the context in which you exist.
What?
Yeah, I did that.
She's always having a great time. She's always laughing. It was a full zip. It was not a quarter zip. So my fantasy has not come true. That Kamala in the Q-zip. Yeah. Anyway, well, do not force her on me in California. We want her to run and lose. That's it. Bottom line. All right. I'm switching gears. I want to talk a little culture for you. NBA cratering ratings. A lot of discussion that they've lost regular people. Now, are you guys NBA fans? So I have always liked basketball. I think it's the best exercise you can do. I played a lot growing up. And I was blessed to grow up during a really amazing Lakers era, living in LA, watching Kobe, watching Shaq. And one of the things that was amazing about the league was it was apolitical completely. There was no politics at all. There was no Democrat fundraising going on. And a lot of what the league was known for was hard work, determination, grit. Kobe was famous for showing up at the gym in being first one in and last one out. Working hard every single day, every single minute of the day. Everything was dialed in, try to win championships. And that's the sort of spirit that we love in this country. The idea that if you work hard enough, you can always outwork the other guy. If you can play through pain, you can still win a championship with broken fingers. And it's so inspiring. It's a simple message, but it's one that we've gotten away from. And now we got NBA doing stuff like what they're calling is load management, where their best players who are getting paid $50 million a year now for the best players, 50 million, 50, not 30, not 20, 50. And they're taking days off because of load management. So I get it. They have a very long playoffs in the NBA, and the playoffs are really what matter most. But really what matters most is the fans. The people who bring their families out and who's bought tickets and maybe bought tickets a year in advance and maybe got them for Christmas. And you pay all this money, and one of the best players in the world who you paid to see is having a load management day. And then you look down on the floor, and the floor's got Black Lives Matters on it. And then you go home and you see some tweet from LeBron James with some jackass political comment. No wonder the ratings are cratering. One of the main characters of Breitbart News on our sports page is a guy named Greg Popovich, who's a coach of the Spurs, has been for a while. And he's on a break now because he had a stroke. But this is the type of stuff he talks about all the time. Playing a clip for you, I hope.
So he's pathetic. He's small. He's a whiner. We all know that. But you wouldn't have him babysit your kids. You wouldn't hire him if you had a small business. You want that man in your business? There's no way. But you're going to vote for him for president?
Sign of the bad orange man.
Strong? I mean, Kamala Harris whipped his ass in the debate. Just obviously, and he's running ever since. He doesn't want any part of her. Because, as she said before, she's eaten many of his type for lunch. As an attorney general, as a prosecutor, he's a small fry compared to some of the people she's gone after. And
those of you who are missing
he knows it. So
on video, he's at this is a team press conference. He's got a Spurs logo microphone. He's got a Spurs shirt. San Antonio, I mean, this is a place that's been overrun by open border. Spurs in the background. This is all branding, team branding. Would you want to support this guy and his overpaid stars who don't want to show up for work every day because they got to do load management? No.
All he can do is cut people down, and do what he does. We've all seen all that kind of stuff. The ones that you can be even more angry about, because he's sick. He's a damaged man. He grew up the biggest wannabe there ever was in New York, right? We all know that. He wanted to be in the...
Yeah, he took over New York real estate. He took over the entertainment world with The Apprentice, and he took over politics as president. He has some of the best golf courses in the world. I don't... He's got 5 kids. They're all pretty much fantastic, all of them. What do you mean wannabe? What is this logic? He's not around anyone who's ever stood up to him, clearly. When you see this lack of logic from people. Let's go on.
He wanted to be in the inner circle, but they laughed at him his whole life. Just like Obama made fun of him at that dinner, and he was about to melt. It angered him so bad, it was scary. But he was never accepted. He was treated like a fool, like a clown. And now he's able to just give the finger to the world because of his position.
Yeah, interesting. All right. So that's where they're at the NBA, and the ratings are collapsing. And what are their solutions? They're going to make the floor brighter. Adam Silver, the executive of the NBA, they call it commissioner of NBA, going to make the court brighter. It's a really bad look for a family of 4 to go to a game that stars don't play. Go ask the Democrats. Be warned, once you detach your regular people in America, you will pay a price. It's Colin Cowherd, not a right-wing guy, popular sports talker. Literally liking it to the Democrat Party, exactly what they've done. So many reasons the ratings are down, I'm sure, but the wokeness, their number one star, LeBron James, some of those popular players, Democrat activists, we're out on it. I checked out completely with the Black Lives Matter stuff on the court. LeBron is so unlikable. I haven't watched a minute of a Lakers game since LeBron was on the Lakers. So, look, they thought for so many years it was virtuous to step out and give generic Democrat boilerplate talking points, and it's not now. It's gone. It's over. Those days are over. All right, I'm a little nervous about, we're having some minor production issues today. So I had some more video I want to play. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to skip ahead to the mail and invite you guys to email me at aloha@alexmarlow.com if you want to correspond with me, if you have any ideas for the show. And I got one other thing to recommend. I got to insist on this, actually. January 20th, Inauguration Day, Washington, D.C. is the place to be. I was just talking to some people earlier today about a big event I'm going to try to get to surrounding inauguration. It's going to be just a huge event. So obviously Trump's getting inaugurated, historical event, only happens twice, or maybe 3 times if we're lucky, or maybe 4 times if we're really lucky. But we want to send you there, we at Salem, You can win a once-in-a-lifetime VIP experience to attend the inauguration, including airfare for you and a guest, 3-night stay in our nation's capital, tickets for the presidential inauguration, and much, much more. Don't miss the extraordinary opportunity to celebrate the greatness, the history, and the excitement of the inauguration. To enter, you can see the link in the show notes wherever you get your podcasts. And for this episode, and you can go to SalemPodcastNetwork.com/Trump. That's SalemPodcastNetwork.com/Trump for your chance to win. I don't know why you wouldn't try. Doesn't make any sense for you not to try. Because this is a historic thing you'll remember forever. Absolutely. All right, I got some email. This is from Greg Vergara. Hello, Alex. Just listened to your latest podcast. And before I get to the subject of my comment, I want to say congratulations to picking up more sponsors. I'm one of those who actually get a little worried when content producers who I rely on for information and analysis don't have commercials. This is so right. And all of you, I'm going to be having to add some commercials. We broke it down. I think for the length of the show I do, I'm not going to do more than 3 and then maybe one before and one after that kind of roll there. It's helping the sponsors is great. This is what's going to keep the show on the air at a minimum, and it's going to help it grow if it does well. So just know I will not bring BS to you guys. I'm going to vet the sponsors, make sure they're good, they're quality products. But the more sponsors we get at the highest value means that I can go travel and do cool stuff, bring you more insight in the show. And have new technology to make the broadcast more entertaining. So you guys want this stuff, trust me. So I appreciate those of you who get it. I know that everyone wants their news to be free. I don't know why. There's some of these things we've culturally decided news should be free. We decided healthcare should basically be free. Like I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. So thank you for bearing with me. Those of you who it irritates you and those of you who are inclined to support, check out any of the sponsors you hear about on the show. It means a lot. Okay, on the subject of these drones, I realize this has been discussed to death of late, but I just wanted to point out something which occurred to me. Isn't it entirely possible that these things could be releasing some sort of biological or chemical agents? I've not heard anyone bring this up so far. This was also a concern of mine during the Chinese spy balloon episode, especially since COVID appears to have come from a lab in China. Anyways, you're doing a fantastic job with your podcast. Keep up the good work, though I already know you will. Thank you. Yes, we will be consistent here. I promise that. I think this point is terrific. I don't think that these drones are going to be the ones with the biological chemical weapons, but I do think there's potential that these drones could be a dry run for something else. They could be a dry run for biological chemical weapons being released at another point. And even if that's not what this is, we need to be aware that clearly the chaos that's taken place, our enemies have to be watching and looking at us and thinking these guys are really foolish or they're lying to their people or both. And that's not good because you can bet the bad guys are getting bad ideas. All right, Russell Provenzano. Hello, Alex. It's great to hear you again. I watch you on Rumble. I have to say about Rumble, I was looking at, currently as we're recording, I'm trending on Rumble. And I don't quite get it completely, but the number 7 most popular thing on Rumble at the moment, 128,000 Rumble views for yesterday's show on Rumble. I mean, that's shocking to me in a positive way. So thank you. All of you who are getting the show. And if it comes across your feed, just stick with me, please, because that's great. It can only help. That can only help. My favorite guest you've had on your morning show is Frank Gaffney. Are you planning on having him on your show for an interview? Thanks for your insights. Yeah, I would love to have Gaffney on. We'll have him back. I had Gaffney on every week while I was running Breitbart News Daily, China expert, national security expert. I'm not going to be doing the once a week type guests here. That's not realistic given the format, but yes, we'll have Gaffney. All right. Eric from Pennsylvania. Hi, Alex. Hope all is well. I have a theory about all the drones in the sky. I think it may be dry runs for heavy lift drones for commercial deliveries from Amazon, FedEx, UPS, and God help us, the USPS. That's funny. Chopping at the bit to get this service started. It is curious that the Department of Transportation has not given a solid statement about this issue. Please look into this theory. Yeah, it's definitely crossed my mind. I have a close family friend who worked for many years on Amazon's drone program, and these things are huge. Just huge. You need, if they're ever going to deliver stuff, you need a massive backyard. It's just not, normal families are not going to get deliveries from Amazon's delivery drones because they just have they're too big and they're too dangerous. So, of course, the technology is developing, so it'll improve over time. That's a certainty. But it's crossed my mind that it could be some dry run for some sort of major delivery. But then to have all of them, I've been seeing a map. There's just so many. Why would they all be coordinated? Again, way more questions are getting prompted than are getting answered. And that's not the spot we want to be in. We want clear, concise answers when this phenomena take place, because it does sow that chaos. And we want to be able to have faith in our institutions, faith in our fellow man, faith in our fellow Americans. The Biden administration has no interest in this. So hopefully Trump gets in there sooner rather than later. Counting down the days, 1 month, 3 days to go. Couldn't get here fast enough, could it? All right, that'll be today's show. Aloha at alexmarlow.com, liking, subscribing, telling 10,000 friends and family members. Thank you to our producer, Misty, for dealing with the technical issues today, putting piecing everything together. We'll talk to you tomorrow.